Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. I'm here today with Therese. She is a studio owner in Graz, Austria, which is actually my hometown. And I was there last December and actually taught a workshop at her studio for her students, which was lovely. And now Therese is also one of my students in my bootcamp right now. So which of course is all got a little bit tossed around because of what's happening right now. So the reason why I scheduled this call with Therese is just because she's moved her business basically a little bit online right now in this situation, and I think we can all learn something from it, and we'll see. I wanted to ask her how it went for her, and maybe we can help you set up your teaching online a little bit too, because I guess we all have to right now, right?
Definitely.
Therese, how are you?
I'm very well, actually. I mean, it's a bit challenging to switch quickly, but I think with the US, we are 1 or 2 weeks ahead with the virus. And our schools basically have been closed now for a whole week. We are in the second week at stay at home. And it goes very fast that the kids are out of school. And my husband not traveling anymore, also working from home, which is new for us because he's half of the week away. So every family situation is different. In addition, you try to, after my part-time job, Pilates, home executive and everything, try to manage. But it was a decision that we said, let's start live streaming with my 3 Pilates teachers who work for me for the group classes. And they started the live streaming, and I just had to help set it up with our online booking system. And it actually was incredibly well perceived. I initially only contacted as a test phase the current active students, not the whole database I have, and told them we are testing. And actually the classes were very often only half an hour or an hour before the classes start. Where enough, I said I'm offering the class even there are 2 or 3 bookings, so at least they can pay my teachers, and let's see how it goes. But there were always 5 to 9 bookings, and it worked very, very well. And the nice thing is that they really were incredibly grateful for us that we offer that we give them this one fixed lessons a week they were used to go to. And as I mentioned in one of my comments on Facebook, they want us as our local teacher. And I mean, everyone is going online, free classes, everything is crazy. And I said, I don't have the time to offer free classes. I need to pay my teachers. They would not work for free, and it's not fun for me to do that. It's a lot of work, but if it's successful, you are happy with it. And in the end, it worked very well. The quality is not perfect because every laptop camera is not ideal. Some of them is a little bit distorted. I think mine is okay. And I haven't bought an extra camera yet, but that's not so important. They were just trying to do also their best at home. It's for everybody a new situation, and it worked. And I think I have to say it probably was easy for me to set up because I have already an established online booking system. And I think it's a bit more tricky if you don't have that yet, but it works. Then they just have to pay you your account, and they have to book you on a schedule. I think you need to be just more organized if you don't have an online booking system.
It's just probably an additional step of setting up something like PayPal or some other form of payment. You would probably just have to set it up extra. But a lot of people are already set up to pay online. Or, in Europe, the system is more that you transfer money to somebody, right? You could switch to a manual system in the meantime too, if you have to, right?
Exactly.
Like there is a way. If there is a will, there's a way. But that's so exciting. What I liked most about your experience was that you said people really want you, right? And that's something that we talked about in the boot camp, is this personal. Pilates is something so personal, and I might get 100 emails of other Pilates teachers offering their services, but I don't want to, right? I'm not going to, as a student, I'm not going to book with a stranger. I want to continue working with you. So I think this is such an important lesson, because we as Pilates teachers always think, oh, but everybody does that. There's so much out there. I mean, there's so much free Pilates out there on YouTube and stuff, but people still want that guidance from their teacher, which is you.
Yes, and certainly it's a bit, I have to say, to teach. I mean, I had now one online streaming, and it's a bit different because depending how many people are, I mean, there's another studio who just started this week. They focus, as in their own classes, they don't take more than 8 people. And I said initially, I'm happy I take as many as I can at the moment because we don't offer as many classes. But some people don't want to be seen. You look into the living rooms, you know, some people train in their pajamas, and they said, why do you switch off your camera? I said, I'm sorry, I switched off my camera, but I was in my pajama. So it was really, it's very intimidating as well. So I tell at the beginning of the lesson, you know, if you want me to see you, then you need to have light in your room, and I need to see it, and I can try to correct you. It will not always be as easy as in class, but I try to at least verbally correct you if I see any of you not moving as you should be moving. And some of them, they understand, and some of them, they don't mind. They just move along with what you say or with your movements. And I think it's also an incredible teaching tool that, depending on how you teach, if you teach moving while you teach, or if you just teach standing and with words. So if you look into the camera, and initially if they are new students, you certainly probably have to show up 1 or 2 movements and then just try to guide them through it. It depends on how your teaching skills, and it's a little bit tricky if you do it online, because all of a sudden you see yourself. It's like if you stand in a mirror and you see yourself while you're teaching, and in class you don't. It's a bit, oops, it was a bit of a shock the first time, but I think you get used to it and you get better at it every time.
You're saying it, absolutely. Anything that's new is you know, we have to learn it, we have to figure it out. Same thing with the setup, right? So in the beginning you said, like, not everybody has their camera set up in a perfect way so that you can see them, but over time you can make improvements, and it doesn't have to
and
be
it's perfect. The same for the clients. They use the laptop, the tone is not correct, but they are happy that they do something.
Right.
And as I said, the first time I only contacted my active students, and now today actually I just send out a newsletter to my whole database, and all of a sudden people who moved away from Graz, they say, oh wow, you're doing classes again, I booked in. Or another client who just was traveling through Graz and but lives in Trieste said, oh great, I have been seeing you, I'm coming back. So it's actually exciting. Online, it's great. And the same is now with the whole system in the UK or in Europe. You finally can join as well, teach classes where you went to workshops too. And you said, I can never join a class. You went to the workshop, but you don't really know how he teaches on a daily basis. So it's actually, it's something nice and new, and you can join classes wherever with your favorite teachers, but live. So it's good fun.
Right. Yeah, there's a light. There's a silver lining, or there's the upsides, right? I think I am a person, I react very sensitively, if that's the right word, to negativity. Like I don't deal well with negativity, and there's so much of that going on, especially when you watch the news, which I don't do in general, but I feel right now I need a little bit of information, but it just really takes the life out of me, and it's so nice to hear from you how you see that there's the upsides of having to switch. Yes, it's stressful for a week or two, but I also have a feeling that the worst sort of time was I think last week. I think last week was when everybody sort of started to switch, and everybody started to realize, okay, we have to close, we can't keep staying in studio, we have to find another way, and everybody scrambled and stayed up late nights and tried to set everything up. And I feel that this week's things are starting to slow down a little bit, and everybody sort of has their feet on solid ground again and feels like, okay, I have found an avenue to move forward and to just try this for the time being. And it's wonderful to see how you actually get some students back that you might have lost because they moved away, so now they're coming back, which is wonderful. And so it just adds another tool into your toolbox. So in the future, you know, when one of your students moves away, they don't necessarily have to stop working with you, right? you can continue
Yeah,
working.
no, that's right. And it certainly, what was really helpful is from my online booking provider, Eversports, they set up at the beginning of the week a webinar, which was really helpful. And the main takeaways out of that is that don't offer free classes,
Okay.
don't reduce your prices,
Yeah.
because they want us, as I mentioned before. And I actually did not offer a free class. I just had the only thing I did, I told my clients that they can use their normal carnet of 10 and just use the normal bookings, the booking system. And then I had single tickets for those who currently don't have a booklet, for the same price as a book of 10. So that's what I did. Don't have a drop-in class, which is usually 18 euros, and the carnet is 130. So I just have all the single tickets to the same price as a carnet of 10. Okay. And I think that's fine. So people cannot join, I can only do once, or they don't mind if they book 3 times a week. And I think that worked well, but it did not reduce the price.
Right.
So basically, if you buy a single ticket or use your old carnet, it's the same price per lesson.
That way you don't have to set up a new package. You can use the package that you already have set up.
Exactly.
You can just work down that. And also something that we tend to forget as Pilates teachers, sometimes we think our students pay us for the equipment, but really they're paying us for our expertise and for the accountability, for the fact that they have to show up, and for the fact that we know that we can help them improve movement and get out of pain. So our knowledge and our expertise, that's what they're paying us for. The equipment is part of a tool that we use to achieve the goal, but really they're not paying us for the equipment. And just because they can't use the equipment doesn't make that much difference. So I also agree that,
and it's the price certainly of a group med class and not the price of a private or studio class. Certainly, so that's right. The reason I offer the single tickets for the studio clients, who then just buy a single ticket and see. And I see after the first 2 weeks, I will see, maybe I buy them, I make a special offer if they buy four in a row and it's a bit cheaper, I will find out. But at the moment, I don't. Right. And what I started this week, because I asked the client for feedback, when is their best time? Every family schedule is different, every home schedule is different. And I am offering now from Thursday 2 30 minutes early bird classes. And for that, I have a special price. So I said it's a little bit more expensive than 50%. And they can either book 1 single ticket or 4 tickets in a row, which then becomes a bit cheaper. And
so it's like a lunchtime class, or like
no, a morning class from 7:30, because for me, from my schedule at the moment with my family situation, I can best, the kids are sleeping in, so I can do an early morning session. And many of my clients said that would actually be great. So, okay. And we asked them, you can quickly after each lesson, we ask their feedback, they give you what worked and what not, and they're really helpful and really, really appreciative that we do that. Right. Basically.
Absolutely, fantastic. That's so nice to hear. So
the other thing, maybe one other thing, because certainly through this online booking system, there are many studios who move online now. And I looked at the others, how they describe it. The other thing is what they said, don't say, I'm sorry, because of the situation, we have to close down. Say it positive. They said, the actual situation puts us into live streaming to keep our services going and bring our Pilates into your houses. So try to say it positively, and right. Don't even mention you have to close down. Everyone knows. Yes. So basically just focus on that you are online now. And I think that's also very important, that you, as you mentioned in our call on Thursday, that stay positive and see we're all in the same situation and all try to make the best out of it. And now stuck at home, there are lots of opportunities coming along and new opportunities coming along.
Right. And we have to pivot, we have to figure out where do we go now, but like look for what you can do and not what you can't do anymore.
And I don't think it's so important now to have so many classes as you do have, because unless you really want to keep your group close, depends on your teaching style. I think it depends. But if you don't need to see each individual, and you say, I'm not offering now to completely correct everyone, I'm just offering you the class at the beginning, then you can have 20 people.
Right.
Some of the yoga studios, it's certainly a different system. They were very successful. They started actually 2 weeks ahead of all this,
Oh, wow.
and they had 100 people in their classes.
Oh,
So
wow.
I don't think if I'm very small, but it can expand tremendously.
Right. Yes.
And
Yes.
very quickly.
Because people who might not want to actually come to the studio, or who live too far away, or who like can't fit it in, now they might actually have extra time because they're at home, maybe they're working from home, maybe they don't work at the moment, and maybe some of your students recommend to their friends, come join me, and this is so fun, you can stay at home, and at least, you know, we have this experience together, and I can share my Pilates class with you that I couldn't before. So you might actually get some new people in that wouldn't have come to the actual studio.
And another nice thing is if everyone joins the meeting, that you keep initially the voice on for everybody, because you are here too, and you hear. So they start chatting as at the beginning of the class, for example, and then you say, you know, now I put you on mute while I teach, because otherwise there's too much background noise and kids are running in and everything. So and it's actually fun that you're joining here tonight. That's great, because usually they don't know who is coming, but
right.
It also keeps the community together.
Exactly. And especially in this time of social distancing, right? People get lonely. They're sitting at home and they might call and talk to people on phone, but they're otherwise just sort of stuck in their small family unit. So this way they still feel like they're in touch with other people, and
exactly, yeah.
Socialize.
Especially for those not completely overwhelmed by the family, or they're single, or the people who are living on their own.
Yeah. So are there anything about like Zoom, any tips that you have for the actual teaching part of it, like the actual technique?
I only had one session, I have to say.
Okay.
I think it's important that it's a little bit of a playing with the camera. I think that you can really see, you put the camera or the laptop far away, that you can basically see you standing, and that your mat is not completely at the bottom of the screen, that you have a little bit of space, a few centimeters space between the bottom of this. So when you're lying flat on the floor, that you are not completely cut off. And I think you don't need to see all arms, but at least you need to see a little bit above your head. If the hands are cut off, I think it doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's over. But there was also a very good post. I think it cost $30 from Shari Berkowitz.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard it myself, but I read various comments that it's really worthwhile watching it. And she has done online classes for 8 years, I think, and online workshops. I think she's based in New York. Actually, Shari, she's one of the classical teachers. I don't know, she came to Graz once. And that was in the UK community well recommended. She just posted a recording, I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. She had like a half an hour session on how to best use the best camera settings for that. And I think light is important, that your room is enough lit, that it's not too dark, and that when you film it during the day, that you are not against the window, because then you as a person, you're very dark, that basically the light shines upon you.
Right.
That you play a little bit. I bought like I don't have a stative because I use my laptop now, but I bought I have it actually here. It's like a camera. It's very simple. It's like a camera. It's like a light where you can use it, which you use for a normal camera, for a digital camera. You can buy these statives, or what do you call them, the tripods, with a round thing. There are tons of them online now. Some of them are okay, some of them cost, but you can basically use a good lighting from a normal camera.
Right. Or light in the room. That's
what I found worked better with my colleagues who don't have. I have these iPods.
Yep.
That actually I teach with them. Sometimes they fall out, but usually it works. And the quality of voice is much better with them.
Yeah, it sounds really good to me right now too.
Because otherwise it's too echoing around, depending on the soundproof or the sound system in the room.
How much the sound reflects off the walls.
Exactly, yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, this is really exciting, and I'm really excited for you.
Yeah,
um,
me too. I'm actually, it's fun. It's fun, and the nicest thing is that they just everyone perceives it fun. They are thankful that you continue
yeah,
your classes,
yeah,
and they can continue your classes. And I was actually yesterday night. When I drafted my newsletter, I was thinking maybe because a few of my clients, as I mentioned in the call last time, lost already their jobs, and I said maybe I should offer a free class. And then I was rethinking it. I said, these are a few. She still has a couple of Kanaes in her booklet free, and then I actually said no, I'm not offering it. Maybe in 2-3 weeks time, let's see how it continues. You can always do it on a later stage, but
that's right. You have to
I
watch out for yourself. That's so important. I think that's what we can't forget. Like, you have to take care of yourself, and we all have to take care of ourselves. There is so much free stuff out there. Like, you can go on YouTube
exactly.
and take a different Pilates class every day for the rest of your life, probably. So if somebody is in a situation that they can't afford your classes right now, they're not out of
Out
options
of
at all.
Yes,
There's
no,
so many
exactly.
options out there. So at that time they might have to do that, and then when their job is back and stuff, then they can come back to you. But I think that's important too, that we don't start to give away everything for free. I did see some studios started to offer a model of like suggested donation, or just suggested membership fees, so they allowed people to choose what they could. So in different
I think
situations.
that's an option for later on. I mean, we are in that only for a week now, and I
Yeah.
think everyone at the moment, the clients could afford it, so they should continue to afford it. I think if you go bigger, then you can offer a free class. But at the moment, I actually cancel it, and I'm happy now with the decision.
Yeah.
And no one ever
And you
questions it. No one ever questions it that I offer, that I didn't offer it for free.
Yeah. That's right. I think and what you said, true. It's starting to rain. I hope. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can
you can
hear
hear.
it. I hope the sound is going to be still okay. Um, what you pointed out just now, I think that's wonderful. It's temporary, right? And we're only like a week or two into it, and it's temporary. We're going to get through this. Life will go back to normal. So if should we have to make this a more permanent solution, then we can still figure out other things. But for now, let's just transition as normally as you can, as keeping everything the same if you can, price wise.
Yes, I think so. I think it's fine. And maybe then offer a shorter class or half an hour class.
Right.
Certainly it's still our time and we need to set up and everything. But the opportunities are vast. I actually have recorded my session, but I have not sent it out yet. A comment of a client was, oh, please can I record it? And then I can use it in the summer holidays when I'm never coming to your classes. But now I think this setting up all the Zoom, you just set it up in the studio as soon as hopefully not so much long ago we can go back to the studios. We just offer 1 or 2 classes, the same class you're teaching online, and then your people who are on holidays can join wherever they are.
That's great.
So the ideas are vast and never ending.
Are you planning on teaching any private lessons too?
I think I would like to. The problem at the moment is my time.
Okay, that's fine.
I think I probably reach out to the elders. I haven't yet, who don't really want to join usually the group classes because it's too fast for them. But I have some elderly duets, which I can believe they want to continue doing that, but I haven't reached out that far. But I think it would work. A studio who is more focusing on classical Pilates, they just started this week, and she actually has set up how you suggest you only can join group classes when you actually had a one solo class before, and she's doing that online now. Mm-hmm. So basically, before you join the group classes, she basically has a one-to-one on you, and then she says which group class would be best for or if it's not fitting in, then it's not fitting in, then she advises you to continue with one-to-ones.
Right.
There was also a newsletter from Rebecca Rothstein yesterday, the buff bones lady. I never met her. And actually I found she offers a 30 minutes, I think it's this week actually, a 30 minutes free class, and wrote in her newsletter that first everyone has to sign a waiver. In Europe it's not as strict with the waiver, And she recommends the classes only for those who are able to stand up or sit down and stand up easily, can balance on one foot without holding on too much. And if this is not possible, then she advises her to contact her directly for a one-to-one online.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was actually a very good idea. I found that if especially depending how big your community is, to reach out. I said, if you reach out more people, give them directions on what at least they need to be able to join in order to feel safe.
Yeah, or you could even do it for each class, right? You could say on Mondays, this class is like the Monday 5 o'clock class is a gentle class or something like that, right? So anybody can join,
yes,
even if they are not as great, and then you can do a more advanced class at another time. I know that leveling classes is sometimes a tricky thing because people's time, but I guess maybe time is maybe less of an issue right now, but it depends, right? Every person is different. So it's, but yes, no, that's a great idea to specifically have these requirements.
And I think it's easier I actually don't have in the individual class descriptions. I didn't really have them until now. They were just, most of them, open level classes, and it just established itself, which one class was more difficult than others. But I think online, because a friend joined who never joined my classes before, and she gave very constructive feedback and said, actually, you said it's an all-level class, but actually there were some movements which actually were very difficult for me. And I think it depends on how you cue, that you say, if this is an exercise which is not for a beginner, then just mention it, leave it out. Or I think this is how we come along, and that's the reason that the people are very open to give you feedback.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Layering is.
But it'd probably be wise to describe the more classes you have and people have time, that you really give a class descriptions. I'm not there yet. I just ask my teachers if they can describe their class and focus on something. But I think that would be wise. So people can just say, see if this is easy or not. Otherwise, I join at lunchtime or whatever.
If you have a small community, I mean, now we're talking really about things that really count for any class, right? Not just online, but any Pilates class. Like really, it's about knowing your students. If you know your students, then you can individually advise, and you can also plan accordingly. If you have somebody new in the class, then it's always can always tell them that they should just start somewhere, and over time they'll get better, or you do an intake, or you do an assessment, or these are principles that are the same for in-person teaching as online teaching. I think teaching all level classes is always challenging, I think.
No, but actually now with having, for tomorrow's class, there are like 4 new people coming in, and I said I should have managed to set up my free consultation right now, which I haven't done completely. But I said that would be actually good, letting them fill out now the health form. And say, this is where we are. Have you any issues? Let me know so I can prepare the teacher. And I think if new people join, I think that's just a service we can give them and say, even if you don't need it, let's just discuss quickly. Do you have the time, even after class, where we can answer questions?
Right.
I think that would be good, and I probably will set this up quite quickly, but I haven't managed myself.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great idea, because I can imagine that having somebody brand new online in a class, you really have no control over what they're doing, right? Like in a class, when in person,
yes, exactly,
stop them from doing something that I don't want them to do. But online, I can't really do that. That's much, much harder. So I would agree with you, but maybe do it afterwards, right? After the class, just say if they have, if you could schedule even half an hour with them, they can send you the paperwork, or you can ask the questions of the questionnaire to them personally, and you fill it out, so they don't have to like email something back.
I think it would be good to reach out beforehand. So because in case it's the first class and they don't know you, and there might be, as you mentioned, the first class Pilates, it's something, what is this? If you have no idea, no one explained it to you. So it could be also, I didn't like it, I never come again. So I think it's better probably to reach out first and said, this is now online, you don't know us. If you have any questions, or if you send them an health form beforehand and they fill it out, I think they feel more appreciated. and taken care of.
I totally agree. It would definitely be ideal before. I'm just saying, like right now, if you already have these people scheduled in the class and you don't get to it before, maybe at least do it afterwards.
Yeah.
Might still be better than not at all.
Yeah.
If they're going to continue after the first class, which we're hoping.
Totally.
That's wonderful. Is there anything else you want to just kind of mention or say? Or, I mean, I think you said it all, but maybe there's something you want to share.
No, I'm just stay positive and keep going. Yeah. Just do it. Even if you offer only one class a week. Yeah. Just start. We started with like 2 and now we have 4 or 5, and nice. Don't spread it out too quickly. Start small if you don't have the time, and you teach one class and maybe then you have 15 people. It's worthwhile. Right. And just depending on how big the class is, depending on how you need to teach. And if it's small, with the trainers I employ, I said I need 2 people in order to pay you. Right. And if it's less than 1 person, I would cancel it. But at the moment, it's not for me that I earn money. It's that we keep it going and I can still pay you. And right. From the beginning, we always had enough bookings, and that's good.
And it's a great service for your community, and they'll be so grateful, and they'll love you even more, and they'll continue coming. So. And
the trainers are grateful that they keep I mean, I have to pay them, and they are happy that it's all money and they all live on it, and they still have some work. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
So
for sure.
Yeah, even it's less classes, but if there are more people booking in, I said maybe then let's find a scheme if you get a bonus or not. But that's future business. Yes. First, let's survive, as we said.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much. This was
You're welcome.
I'm so happy.
Hope this helped.
Yes, I think it definitely does. I think it's so nice to hear somebody share their firsthand experience. I think that's really helpful. We can always answer questions if anybody has questions, guys. Just use the comments as always to ask questions, and we'll try and help you out. And we're hoping that you're going to try setting something up if you haven't yet, and you probably have maybe figured it out already. Whenever there's some technical stuff involved, like Zoom, some kind of software that's new, it's always new and there's a learning curve, and some of us are more comfortable with it and some of us less, but it's all figure outable, like Marie Forleo likes to say. So we can do this, and yes, stay positive and focus on what you can do. Loving that.
Definitely. And start small, and don't worry, you learn by doing.
I just heard that.
Okay.
Right. I heard that this week. Somebody said, and it was a totally different arena, but it said start small and start now. So I think I would.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.